It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Rhode Island College head women's basketball coach, Coach Jenna Cosgrove. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college women's basketball?
Yeah, I have coaching runs in my family. I've always had a passion to want to coach, but I really knew I wanted to coach once I finished my undergraduate degree and realized I could make it a full-time profession.
Of course, what was it like playing college basketball for Indigo?
It was great. I've got some of my best friends from college and going to one of their weddings this weekend. So it was a great experience. I think that's also what, enables me to really thrive in a Division III institution as far as, I played and I lived that experience as well.
Of course, what was some of your college accomplishments on the basketball side, and what was it like getting to put on that jersey?
It was a long time ago now, but one of our biggest accomplishments was I know that we had the most wins my senior year. I think we were 23-6. We fell just short in the conference championship. I didn't have a lot of individual accomplishments. We had a great team when I was there, and it was a great experience.
Of course, how was it like getting into coaching and coaching coming out and getting into high school coaching at Sharon High School?
Yeah, actually, that was so when I graduated college and I figured out that I took some time off and I figured out that I wanted to coach, I kind of just went right back to where I'm from, my hometown, volunteered as a varsity assistant, coached some AAU, and that's where I got my feet wet to really kind of explore, okay, what's my next step and how can I break into college coaching? It was great. I was very young, but it was a really great experience that I really, really enjoyed. Just being able to give back where I came from and really get that feeling of this is what I want to do.
Of course, what was it like getting your first start in college coaching and going to Fort Ham?
I'm not who I am today as a coach without going to Fordham. That was probably the biggest leap of faith I ever took in my life at that point, or overall. I'm a small town kid from Sharon, Massachusetts, very kind of a homebody, went to school only an hour away, and I had the choice to break in as a D3 assistant or to go to Fordham and be a part of a Division I women's basketball team on the support staff side, but really just totally indulge with the D1 sports team but live in the Bronx and live on my own, move to New York City, and doing that has made me who I am as a basketball coach.
Of course, what was that like going to there, and what were some of your accomplishments as a coach there?
I learned from one of the best in the business as far as at that level at the Atlantic 10. Stephanie Gately is a great coach. So and everything I do from a defensive standpoint, I learned from the coaches there and from her. We won an Atlantic 10 championship in 2014, played in the NCAA tournament, lost by 1 to Cal, played at Baylor, got to travel many places, went on a foreign tour trip to Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji, recruited in Latvia and Eastern Europe, as far as all over the country, but went to the WNIT multiple times, as well as that NCAA tournament experience. So really the most significant part of that experience, though, was being able to witness a change in culture and be a part of going to Fordham when they were at the bottom of the A10 and in the very last place, a very losing program, and witness a coach come in and completely change the culture and develop a winning program and develop a championship program within 3 years.
Of course, what was that like helping build that national powerhouse at Fordham?
It's who I am. It's built who I am today. I got to learn firsthand how to build that championship program, how to change the culture, and how it takes time, takes patience. It doesn't happen overnight, but really the key elements that what builds a championship program. And I'm very grateful for that experience.
What was that 2014 season like, helping taking them to the NCAA tournament for the first time in many years?
That was an incredible experience. We played at Baylor, so obviously we were in Waco, Texas. We had a huge travel party. I remember sitting next to Kim Mulkey in a conference room, getting ready for that game as far as from an administrative standpoint, sitting with my head coach at the time. So that was awesome. Playing on the big stage and almost winning and upsetting Cal that year. And prior to that, they were a Final Four team, I'm pretty sure. But what was really awesome about that is that team wasn't the most talented. They were just the most bought in and hardworking team. And we surprised a lot of people, but it was an extremely proud moment to be a part of, especially when you can take a team that's not super talented and get to the NCAA tournament.
Of course, how was it like getting to coach on the coaching staff of the Team USA Open women's basketball team?
It was great. I'd never been to Israel. You're surrounded with an entirely new group of people, so you get to learn from each other. It was a mix of Division III and Division I athletes, and just to be able to be in a different, obviously in Israel and competing for a gold medal and competing internationally was just something that, I was very lucky to be a part of.
Of course, how has that coaching experience internationally helped you into where you are now as a head coach?
Actually, it was actually the summer when that whole experience in 2017, that summer happened the month prior to getting this head coaching job at Rhode Island College. And what was really awesome about that was I was able to kind of take my knowledge and confidence of what I learned at Fordham and apply it to an entirely new group of athletes, develop new relationships, and also learn that there is a difference. There's a difference between the Division I athlete and the Division III athlete. I'm not talking talent wise, but and that prepared me a little bit as a refresh of going into being a head coach and kind of figuring out who I was in my identity as a coach, because I was an assistant and for a while before that point.
Of course, what was that transition like from going from being an assistant to now becoming a head coach for a new program like Rhode Island?
It was scary and it was very unknown. I think when you do anything for the first time, it's like a lot of trial and error. Would I say I knew what I was doing? No, I didn't. I got hired, school started, and I just tried to get to know the team. I made a lot of mistakes in my first couple of years. I still make mistakes, but I think back to like the first month or two and even our first few practices, like I didn't know what I was doing, because you don't essentially know what you're doing until you do it. And then you learn from yourself each and every day. I think I was prepared because I learned for 7 years from a great coach and learned how to change culture, learned how to teach them to win. And those are the baby steps when taking over a program. Those are the important things. But it was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of, I just dove right into recruiting. I feel like I didn't breathe for a few months. I was living at home with my parents. I was 30 years old. But I felt very prepared, but very unprepared, if that makes sense, because it was new.
Of course, how was that first time feeling like you're the head coach and you get to run your own program and see things out for your own self?
Like I said, it was I really enjoyed it. I remember like my first game and we won, and I remember feeling like it was a great feeling and that we were making the right steps and progressing. But it was just so much trial and error and so much reflection that first few years, including today. But I'm just, when you're building a program and you're trying things, it's just, you're just going with the flow. Every day is a new challenge.
Of course, how is it like in 2019 going to the conference championship?
We lost that championship, and I was just talking to somebody this morning. I think when you're building culture, you're also building and instilling confidence in the young ladies that you coach. And that year, I remember, we were good. That was our best season since I came and took over the program. That was our best season. We had great players, still young, but we didn't have that confidence and that conviction that we could go in and win a championship. We didn't. We were like, we felt good about ourselves, but when you're trying to be a championship level team, you've got to practice like a championship level team, and you've got to be confident that you can go in and win games. I feel like we were excited to start winning. All of a sudden we were learning to win, but when we got to that point of that championship, we were nervous. We were definitely, it didn't feel like a regular game. Whereas now in the next couple of years where we've played, I think the kids have a different sense of confidence, and they try and take each game as the same type of game. So, but it's building blocks. And that game, I don't think we win the last two championships without losing that game, because you build up, and you build up that confidence, you build up that experience. So that was a tough one, and I'll never forget that, especially with the group we had that year. But it was a building block and a big reason why we could win the following couple years.
Of course, can you talk about the culture that you've started to build for Rhode Island College?
Yeah, we're still building on it. And it's pieces. It's part of bringing in certain pieces. I think the first thing when building cultures is recruiting great kids, and recruiting great people, and they have to buy into what we're doing. I think team chemistry is huge. Even like I look at some of our teams, I think last year we had a lot of talent. I think we need better chemistry each year. I'm excited about this year's group because I think we've got both. I think last year we did, but there's always ways to better our culture. But it starts with great character, selflessness, and we're very focused on details. But we put the team before ourselves.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a head coach and your players?
Typical game day, we try and do a shoot around. If it's a weekday, we try and shoot around in the afternoon. If it's a Saturday morning game, we'll shoot around from 9 to 10, just get us energized, get some shots up, wake them up a little bit. And then we're very focused the day before in practice on our scout and our plan. So it's really like a refresh. Game day is a refresh. We refresh what we're doing, what's our game plan, our scout, so that we go into the game very prepared. So it's really like refreshing what we've already prepared so that we go in confident.
Of course, what is it like, obviously, as a head coach to help the team and win on game day and lead them to, obviously, hopefully a victory?
Game day is my favorite day because you're just hyping up your team to win. You got to as a coach, you really got to believe that your team can win, and you got to express that in order to make them believe they can win. So game day is my favorite day.
Who are some of the teams that you face each week in your conference?
In our league, we faced Eastern Connecticut, UMass Dartmouth, Keene State, Southern Maine, Castleton, UMass Boston, Western Connecticut. It's a state school conference throughout New England. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anybody. What's great about it is it's really competitive. And actually, the 2019 season, we were slated to be number one, and we had a couple losses that killed us, that took us away from that home court advantage in the championship. So every game was like really crucial. And every conference is super different. So the conference I played in is totally different than the one that we're in. But every game's a battle. So right now, like heading into this season, my goal as a coach is to make our non-conference schedule super tough and competitive so that our conference season we're ready.
Of course, what is it like getting to coach against those teams like Southern Maine?
Southern Maine, I love the Southern Maine coach. Sam Allen's a great coach. They're all great coaches and they're super competitive. So it is fun. One of the best parts about it is we get to play them twice too. So you really get to play a team and then you get to like scout and see, then you're really familiar with that team. So it is fun. It's a good camaraderie, great coaches, and just very competitive.
What are some of the game day traditions that you've started to implement for your team?
Game day traditions. We do the same type of pregame. We actually do a crossword guessing, like basically the motto of that game. Maybe it's a word, maybe it's a slogan, but they have to guess the crossword. Or it's not the crossword, excuse me, hangman. We play hangman right before they go out up to the gym. So you kind of lighten the mood and then they get riled up. So that's definitely a tradition. I'm sure we have more, but now I'm drawing a blank. So hangman.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college basketball?
The recruitment process is interesting, but typically we like to get our recruits on campus. And I think, and I know our biggest sell is our student athletes. And so I really would like, when I go on a recruit to come on campus, I want them to, of course, see campus and talk to coaches, but I want them to really get involved and spend time with our young ladies because they are the biggest sell. They're a great group of kids and you've got to love who you're playing with as much as you love who you're getting coached by. So we try and set it up so that they can spend quality time with them. From a campus standpoint, I think we've got awesome facilities. I remember coming here on my interview and no joke saying like, wow, we've got some better facilities than Fordham in the Atlantic 10. I mean, we got great facilities and that shows the commitment to the student athlete here at Rhode Island College. So we kind of try and show them a little bit of everything, but definitely quality time with the girls.
Of course, what are some of the things that you look at in those prospective student athletes when on the road recruiting?
Same thing I teach the players, like great energy, great attitude, good people. I love meeting their families. I think they're a reflection of their parents. So I don't judge them if they don't come with their parents, but I love to meet their family and where they come from. Consistency, I think. One thing in the recruiting process that's really important too is I try and tell student athletes that it's a two-way street. So like if I show you a ton of interest and I'm Brandon, I'm calling you all the time, like I want a little reciprocation because you got to want to show that you want to be a part of our program just as much as I want you to be a part of our program. So I like kids that reciprocate too.
Of course, what are some of the things that you do for those prospective student athletes when on the official visit?
If they come for an overnight for an official visit, I like them to come and see a practice or a game just so they see us in a different element. I think that says a lot about a program with, a coach too. How do you coach a practice? How do you coach a game? Everyone's different. Catch me on a good, I would hope they catch me on a good day. No, just kidding. So practice or a game just so they can see how we do things. And then I like when they come for an official visit, the girls like to take them kind of see some part of Providence and not just be on campus, but kind of a day in the life. They'll get a taste of a day in the life of what our student athletes do. Game day, maybe practice, or just a regular day of practice and classes.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like seeing those prospective student athletes come in on campus for the official visit, fall in love, and get to put on that burgundy jersey?
It's a great feeling. When that happens, if someone likes it on the spot, I always feel like it's a gut decision recruiting. Recruiting can be very confusing. So if someone gets that gut reaction, like, hey, I love it here, I want to come here, then I want people like that a part of our program. I think that everything happens for a reason. If you get that feeling, then it's meant to be.
Of course, what are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
Our goal really is to bring in players that are complementary to what we have, yet they make us better. I think when you're trying to sustain a championship caliber team, sometimes that's difficult because you're trying to bring in players that are essentially just as good or better than what you have. So this, impact players, I think right now we have a really deep team. So it's finding like who can come in and complement what we have or what we don't have, is really what I would say we're looking for right now. And we don't have the other unique thing for us right now in the recruiting process is really the fact that we've got 5 seniors, and potentially 4 out of the 5 of them could be coming back for their 5th year, their COVID year. We haven't had that happen yet. So we don't have a ton of spots. We have a lot more of selective recruiting right now because of that.
Of course, as a head coach, was it like obviously seeing those seniors go on and go to either the WNBA or even play overseas professionally?
I haven't had any players do that yet because this is my 6th year. There have been players in Rhode Island College that have gone and played overseas. I was at Fordham and I've had players go overseas and/or players I worked with that have tried out for WNBA teams. But I do have a player right now that aspires for that. And I have a couple of recruits that say they aspire for that. And if someone makes that their goal, I'm going to help them get it. I think that's part of my job. And I love to see what they do after they graduate. That's part of the reason I coach is seeing them grow and seeing them reach their goals.
What advice would you give those prospective student athletes looking to play college basketball?
Can you repeat that one more time, Brandon?
Mhm. What advice would you give those prospective student athletes looking to play college basketball?
If you're looking to play, I think you got to go for it, and you got to go for it sooner rather than later. I think I tell people all the time in the recruiting process, not people I'm recruiting, but parents or, if you want to play, you've got to attack it. Just like you got to attack any goal. Of course, if you're really good, the coach might see you, but you've got to really figure out like, if you like a school, go after it. Email that coach, contact that coach. Somehow let them see you, let them meet you. But don't wait till it's too late. Sometimes I get emails like, I want to play and the season's starting in a week, like you got to attack your goals and you got to attack them soon. You got to put the work in, and put the work in and hopefully the results show. But you got to put the work in. Don't just dream for it.
Of course, what advice would you give those college basketball players that are currently playing and looking to play professionally, whether it's Athletes Unlimited, the WNBA, or even overseas?
You got to work harder than anybody, and you got to be working all year long. Like I said, that we have a young lady on our team that wants to do it, and she knows that she's got to go now from here to like here as far as taking her game to the next level, her strength to the next level, her versatility. So versatility is a big thing. I think you could be a forward in college, but you might be a wing at the professional level. She got to be able to play multiple positions. She's working on her quickness, working on her strength. So it doesn't stop. You can't sleep on it.
What advice would you give those players looking to play nationally for either US, Canada, or even overseas?
Same thing. Never limit yourself. I think that's a huge thing is never say, oh, like I can't do that. At least try for it. You can always try. I mean, you can get in touch with anybody now with the way of social media, right? So always try for it. I came across one thing I always tell people too, it's you got to seek out resources to help you. If I didn't have my head coach at Fordham approach me about the job of coaching overseas in Israel with Team USA, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So you've got to let your mentors know, like I have some players on my team that want to coach. Hey, if you want to coach, you got to let me know what are your goals so that I can help you get there. A lot of times it's word of mouth, but you got to seek the resources out.
What advice would you give those college coaches and even those head coaches looking to get started in coaching in college?
Same thing. Make connections, make resources, be a sponge and go to clinics. And, there's a bunch of free clinics, whether they're virtual. Virtual clinics became a huge thing, especially during COVID. Virtual clinics, local clinics, but seek out those mentors. The opportunities for that stuff is endless just to make connections.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Rhode Island College women's basketball program?
Sorry, Brandon, repeat that one.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Rhode Island College women's basketball program at?
We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go Anchor WBB on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, I think. And I think find me on Twitter, Coach J Cos. So you can find a lot of our stuff. Hopefully we keep it interesting.
Thank you again, Coach Jenna Cosgrove, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Rhode Island College women's basketball program.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jenna, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.